Home service businesses are one of the best ways that you can build real wealth, but not all of them are created equal. Some of these businesses look great on the surface, but most people who start them don't make it past year 2. So today I'm gonna be breaking down the 5 worst home service businesses to start from scratch in 2026 and exactly why they're so difficult to get off the ground. And my name is Austin Zabak, and I've been building businesses for over a decade across real estate, pest control, and a couple of others. And if you get any value from the video today at all, do me a huge favor and just smash that like button. It really does help me out a ton, and it'll get this video in front of more people who need to see it. So getting into it, the first business is roofing, and it's one of the most attractive industries on paper. Storm damage creates instant demand, ticket sizes are really high, and homeowners aren't ever doing the work themselves. And I personally know roofing operators doing 7 and 8 figures, so the money is 100% there. But let's just look at the market a little bit. So as of 2026, there are roughly 108,000 roofing contractor businesses operating in the US. And that number has been growing at 3.4% per year for the last 5 years. So you are entering an incredibly saturated market as a brand new company with 0 reputation and 0 reviews against operators who have been around for years. And before you can even compete, you need a state's contractor's license, liability insurance, a surety bond, and business registration. And the licensing alone takes a lot of time and a lot of money before you even get started. Then there's the business model question. And this is something that most people really never think about before they actually start. There are essentially 2 different ways to operate a roofing company. You either work primarily off of insurance claims or you go directly to homeowners. And both come with their own complications. The insurance route can be a grind because insurance companies don't want to pay right away, and they really don't want to pay at all. They delay, they dispute, and they drag out the entire process. And I personally know operators who have had claims held up for an entire year. And that is a cash flow nightmare when you've got crews to pay and you have a bunch of overhead that you have to cover. So say a homeowner wants to sell their house, but the roof is old and they don't have the $15,000 just sitting in their checking account. He'll go ahead and he'll actually front the cost to replace the roof, and he will get paid out of the proceeds of the sale when the deal closes by the escrow company. And it's a smart model, but it requires you to understand a completely different payment process, and you have to build relationships with title companies and real estate agents to make it work. And not to mention, you have to have enough cash to be able to front the cost of the actual roof itself and potentially not get paid for up to 30 days. According to the Small Business Administration, approximately 80% of roofing contractors fail within the first 2 years. And within 5 years, 96% are completely out of the game. And the number one driver is cash flow mismanagement. The pattern is almost always the exact same. Someone who is great at roofing decides to start a roofing company. They're a craftsman, but they're not a businessman. They overspend on things like trucks and equipment early on, they don't track their numbers, they mismanage their cash flow, and by the time they realize it, their balance sheet is already in the red and their P&L is just effed. And things like bad customer service and poor quality work accelerate that fall. Roofing can make you very wealthy, but the failure rate should tell you everything that you need to know about how hard it is to build the business from scratch. Okay, the second business is hardscape. Now, hardscaping is a premium service. You're talking about patios, retaining walls, outdoor kitchens, pergolas. These are high-ticket projects with really strong margins. And I actually got a quote on my own backyard from a hardscape company, and I'll show you what that looks like right here. The quote was over 100 grand, not including my pool. Homeowners are willing to make that kind of investment because they see it as building equity in their home a lot of times. And the margins in this industry are kind of shocking. But the scope of these projects is also extremely detailed, and this isn't a service where you can just figure it out as you go. The skill and the knowledge required to execute at that level is significant, and customers spending that kind of money expect that level of service. Then there's the equipment side of things. So to run a hardscape operation, you probably are gonna need some heavy equipment. You're gonna need tractors and trailers and all kinds of stuff. We're talking 50 to 100 grand or even more just to have the capability to take on some of these bigger jobs. And that's before you paid for insurance, licensing, or a single employee. And unlike pest control or lawn care, where you can build recurring revenue, hardscape is almost entirely project-based and all one-time revenue. You finish a job and you move on. You never talk to them again, probably. There is no automatic next customer waiting for you, so you're constantly out there having to sell yourself on every potential job site. Then you layer on seasonality. Spring, summer, and fall are typically your window of opportunity, depending on where you live. Winter shuts a lot of the work down. So when you add it all up, high capital just to get in the door, no recurring revenue to fall back on, and the reality of running a seasonal business in most markets, that's a really difficult company to get off the ground from scratch. And compared to the majority of other home service companies that you could start, you're facing a much steeper uphill battle from day one. And that is why this business made the list for me. Okay, the third business is garage improvement, and this is a legitimate and growing market. Homeowners are spending a ton of money turning their garages into functional, good-looking spaces. But this isn't a business that you can just jump into cold. Unlike pressure washing or junk removal, where the barrier to get started is pretty low, garage improvement requires real level of skill and knowledge before you can actually call yourself a trusted service provider. Epoxy floor coatings, cabinet installations, overhead storage systems, garage door install and repair. These aren't things that you kind of figure out by just watching a YouTube video. Then there's all the licensing. So depending on your state and where you live and what services you offer, you may need a contractor's license before you can even legally operate. Garage door installations, structural modifications, and certain flooring applications can carry their own requirements. And that is a lot of friction before you've ever even made $1. The things that you're installing vary dramatically in quality depending on where you're actually sourcing them from. And if you add in all the service vehicles, the tools, and the product inventory before you've even landed your first customer, you're spending a lot of money without making pretty much any money at the beginning. Would I start a garage improvement company from scratch if I was getting into home services for the first time? Probably not. It definitely would not be my first choice. But if you spent time in the industry and you know the work, starting a solo operation can make sense. You don't need to go out and buy brand new equipment and a shiny wrap truck on day one. You can start lean with a used vehicle, used equipment, and keep your overhead really low until you scale, and then you eventually have more capital to work with. The next business is considered one of the core big four skilled trades in construction. And there's a narrative out there that plumbing is a dying trade because of fewer young people entering the field. And then you have the aging workforce, and the industry overall is just shrinking. But that is not what the data says at all. The dying trade narrative is not accurate. The demand is very much alive. The reality is fewer young people have entered the trade over the past 2 decades, which has actually created more opportunity, not less. And the demand is not going anywhere. Building codes require licensed plumbers for most of the installation and repair work. And homeowners can swap out a faucet, but anything involving supply lines, drainage modifications, or structural changes requires permitted work completely by a licensed professional. That regulatory protection means you can't be displaced by DIY or unlicensed competition, and your work will always exist. So why did this make my list? Well, there are roughly about 480,000 licensed plumbers in the US, and that industry cannot keep up with demand. And that sounds like a huge opportunity on paper, and it is if you're already a licensed plumber. But if you're not, the path to owning a plumbing company is much more complicated than you might realize. You generally don't need a personal master plumber license to own the business, but you do need to employ a licensed master plumber to oversee all the technical work within your business and to pull permits and keep you compliant with state law. That means that your entire operation depends on finding and keeping the right person before you can reliably take on work. And finding that person is your first real problem. You're competing with every other plumbing company to hire from a very small pool of licensed talent. And that same shortage that makes the industry attractive makes staffing it one of the hardest challenges that you're gonna face early on. Then there's the failure rate. Estimates suggest contractor failure rates as high as 70 to 95%, driven by the same issues that kill most trades in business, which is poor management, cash flow problems, and taking on the wrong customers. The demand is real. The regulatory protection is real. But getting the right people in the right place, managing your cash flow, and building an operation that can actually scale is where most people come up short, and that is exactly why it made my list. The final business on my list is HVAC, and it's probably the most attractive one on the list. It is essential, it is year-round, the tickets are high, and there will never be a shortage of demand. Now, I'm not here to tell you HVAC is a bad business. It's actually one of the best ones that you can own. But starting one from scratch is one of the hardest things that you can do in the home service space. face. Before you spend a single dollar, you need to build out what your company looks like on paper. Vans, tools, salaries, benefits, staffing. You'll need to get really clear on your cost per hour to run a technician in the field, because that number will drive everything. And when you start running these numbers, the startup cost gets very real very fast. A lean solo operation can get started anywhere from probably 10 to 50 grand, but if you want to build a real company with multiple technicians, you're looking at well over 100 grand. And then you need to set up accounts at all of the wholesale suppliers. The thing with a lot of these suppliers is you can't just go in there and say you want 10 air conditioners. I mean, you need some sort of line of credit or a credit card or a track record of some sort. Like, it costs a lot of money to actually get started. Then you have all the licensing. Most states require an HVAC contractor license that involves 2 to 5 years of documented experience, a trade exam, and a background check. And on top of that, anyone who handles refrigerant needs an EPA certification that is a federal requirement that is non-negotiable. And if you don't have your journeyman hours already, then you're either waiting years to qualify or you're finding a licensed partner to operate underneath. It is a good business, but it takes real dedication and a passion to build something beyond just being the person who shows up to fix somebody's AC. HVAC rewards operators who have the credentials, the capital, and the patience to build it right. And if you have all three, it is one of the best businesses that you can build. But if you're missing even one of them, it is a very expensive lesson that you might learn. Every single business that I covered today is a great industry with a lot of money in it. But starting from scratch without the capital, the licensing, the experience, or the systems is where most people get humbled. If you want to see the flip side of this, the home service businesses that are actually easy to start from scratch with a low barrier of entry, then check this video out right here. And if you enjoyed this video, do me a huge favor, like the video and subscribe to my channel. Go check out some of my other content. It really does help us out a ton, and it'll get my channel and this video in front of more people who need to see it.